Multi-generational home on a budget. A Build original series brought to you by Zip System Building Enclosures, Fantech, New Wool, Bosch Home Comfort. This episode sponsored by Fantech.
Man, that looks good. Yeah, I can say it. Steve Baczek, architect. We're out here at the multi-gen. Yeah, it is looking good, isn't it? Yeah, I love the colors. Absolutely doing a fabulous job out here. Brett and his team putting stuff together, just looking exceptional. And I already did a quick little sneak tour to get a feel for what's here. We got a lot of exciting stuff to talk about today. We got a couple gentlemen from Bosch here where we're going to talk about their HVAC equipment. We have Mark here from Fantech, so we're going to be talking about Fantech's overall strategy, which I think you're going to get a real kick out of, because, you know, typically you talk to Fantech, it's like, hey, let's talk about an ERV or talk about this, but we're going to have a couple of kind of side streets that we're going to go down and we're going to talk there, and then we're going to finish up. We're going to just take a tour with Brett, the homeowner and general contractor, and we'll take a little tour and look at some of the plumbing fixtures and choices and tile and etc. So we'll take a little walk around, but I say we get started. I know Steve is right around the corner. Steve is here from Bosch, so let's go catch up with him. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Steve, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for coming out here.
Thank you for having me.
So before we get started, so people know, you are basically the local rep for the Northeast for Bosch.
Correct.
Right? So when I got questions, you're the guy I call.
Yep.
There you go. All right. So, two different machines. They both have the Bosch name on it, but they look totally different. What are we looking at here?
So what you've got over here is, this is what we call our side discharge condenser. This is typically a mini split. It can be a ducted, it can be a cassette, it can be a wall mounted unit, which people are more familiar with seeing because the other stuff is concealed. And then you've got your vertical discharge unit. So this is what a homeowner typically sees at their house because they've got an air conditioner, a central air conditioner. So this basically replaces it. Most people can't even tell the difference between a heat pump or an AC condenser, or outdoor unit as we call it now, because it does both condensing and evaporative.
Okay. All right. And are there capacity differences? I mean, why would I choose kind of the horizontal versus the upflow unit?
A lot has to do with application. A lot of mini splits you can now zone right from here. So when you talk about capacities, this one's a 9,000 BTU. So this is a one-on-one unit for the lower level.
Okay. One-to-one, just for listeners, means I have one outdoor unit, one indoor unit.
Correct.
They speak to each other.
Yep. So they're speaking through the cables, talking, knows what's going on, what the set point, all that stuff is. We can now get into a double fan unit, which would be a 48,000. So we've ranges in between 18, 27, 36. The 48,000, I could actually hook up 5 different zones right off of it.
Okay.
So now it gives me the versatility. If I've got, you know, where a lot of people are doing a one-to-one, say you came in and you built a nice 800 square foot addition or 600 square foot addition for me, a great room. Instead of trying to tax my existing HVAC system, I can easily put this system in and have a high efficiency heat pump heating and cooling off of just this one unit.
Gotcha. Now, if I did say go that route and I have 5 systems in there, do I have the ability to prioritize those 5?
So no, because they all run together. You would have one compressor, and it's kind of feeding each zone the requirements that they need. So it is all being communicated back, and the unit's telling itself, because you have an inverter compressor. So an inverter compressor is a variable speed compressor where now you go ranges from 30% all the way up to 100 to 110% capacity. So it really measures up against what it's looking for.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So we're only using, or it's only doing the work that's required.
Correct.
It's not being overworked in any way. Now, some of these have smart technology, right? Is that?
Right. So this one is incorporated. It's communicating right here through the cable. It's going back to the room stat that's in there. It's telling the indoor unit, you know, what the outdoor unit temperature is. Then we get into our Bosch, and what we've done with our Bosch, our premium connected product, is we have a 4G LTE connection
Okay.
And what we're doing is we're pushing data up to the cloud.
Okay.
And what we're using is we're using a Bosch BCC 110 thermostat. And the homeowner gets an Easy Air app. So the consumer themselves, they can adjust their temperatures, they can set their temperatures for what they want, they can build programs into them. But the Easy Air app takes another step to the contractor.
Gotcha.
So if I was a service tech coming in and say a fault code came up,
Yep.
which I would know about before the homeowner because the Easy Air app would notify me, it would notify the homeowner.
Okay.
Tell me what's kind of going on there, it'll tell me what the code and maybe something that I'm looking for when I show up on the job. But now what I can do is I can come in, I can take my electrical panel off, I can connect via my phone through the Easy Air app as a technician, and I can go Bluetooth to this and I can see all of the different measurements that are on there. So it helps me as a service technician to troubleshoot this product.
So it does kind of a self-diagnostic, alarms you, and then gives you all of the data that it's seeing to make your assumptions.
Correct.
Based on that, as well as the app. You had said it's conceivable that I get off my plane in Logan, an hour from here, and I say turn on and I want it to be 70 degrees, and when I come home I walk in 70 degrees.
And that's the great part about it. It gives you that flexibility if you're on vacation or something changes and you want to adjust the temperatures, you can do that remotely.
Gotcha.
And which is the way, the consumer wants today. The consumer wants that capability, seeing what's going on at home. If you're traveling, you can always check your temperature if you want it, no matter where you are, as long as you're hooked up to Wi-Fi with your phone.
Yeah, our culture's built around control. The more control you give somebody, the happier they seem to become. One of the things I can't get over, I'm standing here literally 2 feet away, 4 feet away, and I can't hear either one of these. Yeah. The old days of, outside, certainly gone, and these are just some exceptional units here in terms of noise level and such, and they look very, very slick.
So as a consumer, you again, as you start to go in, you upgrade your equipment. One of the biggest complaints about the single stage equipment is that the compressor's loud. It's running loud, the fan's loud. So what Bosch's technology is, they made it real simple. You have a full inverter compressor. So on this particular unit, the IDS, it's actually communicating through the refrigerant lines.
Okay.
So I always relate to, for consumers and even contractors to understand a little bit more, think about it when you get in your car and you set your cruise control at 70 miles an hour. You get to a hill, all of a sudden the gas pedal goes down to keep the 70.
Right.
When it comes down the hill, the gas pedal comes up. This product does it automatically through the refrigeration lines. It knows one thing, it wants to keep that coil at 47 degrees, no matter what's going on outside or inside. So this thing will range all the way from 36% capacity.
So it creates its own variation to satisfy that.
Correct.
That need.
And what you have is you have a 10-speed ECM fan out here.
Yep.
So depending on what the load is today, today's a mild day, the air conditioning is on, the guys are in there working, they need a little bit of air conditioning versus running this thing at full capacity. Right now it could be running at 35%, 36%, right, and satisfying the needs, and it's a lot less energy to run that. So I think the consumers enjoy that. And again, it's great to have this running while we're doing the video because it really shows you how quiet it is.
It's amazing. And, we're going to head inside. We're going to talk about that unit. But before, we have new construction here. New construction, my experience has been pretty easy. But these systems are very adaptable to a remodeling project or here in the Northeast, we have a lot of baseboard hot water heating systems that people say, hey, I want to, we're going to gut the house, we're going to insulate it, we want to move towards a heat pump technology. All of this stuff is very easily adaptable in the remodeling world too, right?
Yeah, so with, if a homeowner already has a furnace in their house, so we can connect this heat pump and we can do a dual fuel. So if they wanted to keep their fossil fuel, they could add the heat pump to it and do what we call a dual fuel system. If they're going to go straight heat pump, we put an air handler in, like in this application, we have just an air handler upstairs. So if somebody has ductwork, it's not a lot to upgrade to a heat pump. And there's a lot of local energized rebates that are out there. There's federal rebates out there. There's a lot of stuff for the consumer to take a look at when they make that decision, because it's a big ticket purchase and it's going to last 20, 25 years. So you want to buy it once. The mini splits, this type of application, if you have additions, you have a room upstairs that maybe when they originally built the house, they didn't run ductwork. You can now add this to that application.
Or finishing. I mean, we have a lot of remodeling, let's say, concepts, right? Let's go down and finish the basement.
Yep.
It's a perfect application for that. Let's build a new master suite out over the garage. Perfect application for that. Or redoing the master suite. Or we're putting a big family room addition on. We don't want to run baseboard and all of this, and we want air conditioning out in that room. So again, perfect application to kind of stitch that together in that remodeling fabric there.
Yeah, and the heat pumps have come a long way. So this unit here can operate all the way down to -22, which quite honestly in this environment you're never going to see because...
And that just baffles me. I mean, I gotta say, it's like you come outside, you're freezing, but this thing's still finding heat in that air, which is just absolutely amazing. But I mean, that's the laws of thermodynamics at work, I guess. But what do you say we head inside, and unless you have any other parting words on the equipment out here?
No, I think we covered everything, Steve.
All right, let's head inside and we'll see the other half.
All right, great.
All right, Steve, so indoor unit. You know, one of the things I find really interesting in my time of doing this, and as well as growing up, is, you know, years ago everything was kind of in this real musty basement equipment. And, you know, equipment like this Bosch unit, you can put it upstairs in a closet, you don't hear it, it's virtually silent up here, you get real easy access to it. You know, being a house where we were very conscious of every square foot and access, you know, putting this upstairs in the closet certainly made sense to us. So tell me a little bit about what I'm looking at.
So right here you've got your air handler,
Okay.
which is now piped through the refrigeration lines to the outdoor unit.
Okay.
You've got your ductwork, which you guys have insulated everything beautifully, keeping it tight.
And this is an upflow unit.
This is a vertical, vertical unit. Okay. This unit, you know, in different applications, it could be mounted horizontally. It actually can be totally inverted where we were blowing down. So
Gotcha.
This is what we call a four-way air handler.
Gotcha, gotcha. So it doesn't matter the orientation. Yeah, we call, I mean, this is going upstairs. It's not going into the floor, but we've done a lot of these on second floors. And the mechanical guys call them a pair of pants because it goes up and it splits and it looks like a leg to your pants, turns the corner and goes back down into the floor. But it is amazing how quiet these are, as well as how relatively compact. I mean, yeah, it's taking up some room, the ductwork and such, but I mean.
But to your point, so for the technician that's going to maybe have to come back later and do a preventive maintenance on this, you know, it's nice, it's clean, they can access everything, so it's really easy to work on. You're in an environment where the equipment's going to last longer. So that's one of the things, you know, like you say, that old dingy basement that's, you know, 70% humidity, it's gonna wear on this unit. You know, the Bosch, this is a two-stage. So when I talk about two-stage air handler, what it does is when it first comes on and calls for cooling or calls for heating, it runs the capacity of fan about 60%.
Okay.
If for some reason the load in the house requires more BTUs, it'll actually kick on the second stage of fan, which will bring it up to 100% capacity.
Okay.
But what we find, and this is what works great with that outdoor unit, is because again, we're communicating through our refrigeration lines, kind of knowing what we want to do is get this coil in here at 47 degrees for cooling and 114 for heating. Now this is all registering how fast that unit's going to run out there. And with the same time, we're maintaining the comfort level in the consumer's home. So we, especially on cooling, where the Bosch really excels is the dehumidification. Because we're not running hard really fast and stopping, we're running that marathon. So as all the greater the amount of air that comes across that cold coil, the more moisture removing. Because
Gotcha.
again, we're not air conditioning in the fact of we're removing the heat from the house through this coil, sending it outside to the refrigeration lines, which leaves us with that cold air.
Right.
So that's what the consumer is looking for, and they're looking to control that moisture. So, you know, I have the Bosch system in my house, and I keep about a 50% relative humidity throughout this whole summer.
All right. Now, this one is servicing this level here as well as the level above. So we have that one-to-one relationship, but this relationship here then gets split into 2 zones.
Right, so most people's homes, you have one zone on the main floor, one thermostat on the main floor, and kind of everybody gets used to living with that.
Yep.
But when you look at the systems that are out there, existing ductwork systems, or if you're building a new home, or if you're doing an addition and you're putting a full system in, this is a third-party company, EWC, who manufactures a control panel, and they also have dampers here. So what it does is it gives the capability that we have a thermostat here on this floor, the main floor, and then we have a thermostat up on the 3rd floor. Now, because they're different environments,
right.
So this floor has only exposed walls to the outside, where the 3rd floor has ceiling exposure and walls on the outside. It has a different load. So what this does is going to give this consumer the control they want.
And the upstairs is also subject to stack effect, so inevitably there's a time in the summer where it might be nice and cool down here, but it's only calling for AC upstairs, or only calling for heat down here because of the stack effect in the wintertime. So having that kind of that control level, again, it's a huge plus in creating, ultimate comfort.
No, actually, and it came out great. The guys did a great job, well insulated, really quiet, again, running while we're standing here.
Yeah, and you can't hear it. So, yeah. All right. Well, any parting words? I'm going to go catch up with your counterpart, Dave, and learn everything I can about ducted mini splits.
Not a problem.
So,
listen,
right.
Thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming out, and just some beautiful equipment, man. I can't believe how silent that is. So, hey, Dave.
Hey, Steve. Good to see you.
2 big guys in a small space. Always a good story, huh? So for those of you that don't know, Dave is the national sales manager for ductless mini splits for Bosch.
Yes, sir.
You get to travel the country and tell everybody all about ductless mini splits.
Yes.
All right. So we got you on camera. Why don't you tell me a little bit about ductless mini splits?
Okay. Well, I did see Steve outside talking about the IDS and the mini splits. Did a wonderful job. Inverter driven again, so they ramp up and down as need, as the load determines. We have various styles from singles up to 5 tons, and we have multis from 18 up to 4 tons. A multi meaning you can put up to 5 different indoor heads, whether it's a wall mount, a cassette, or a ducted unit, as we have here. We have a regular condenser in both single and multi, which operates to -13 heating and cooling. And we have the max, which is outside, is heating and cooling to -22.
Yeah, again, I was baffled when Steve talked about it out there. I'm still baffled that with -22.
And that's not a hard shut off. So out of the wind, like there, that could operate to -30 before even thinking about shutting down.
Right. Yeah, you just lose a little bit of capacity. It doesn't shut off.
Right.
You just
Right.
like we lose a little bit. So here we chose, because we have a lower level unit. This one's about 825 square feet down here, 1 bedroom, ADU. So we chose to go with the ducted system, which my understanding is it's not much different than ductless as far as the technology and the guts of this system. It's just this one we can hide in here in a nice short pancake unit. Other ones would be out on the wall in the living room.
Correct. So this is the closest thing that, as a standard multi-position air handler like you have upstairs, except you get to hang it from the ceiling and you gain floor space.
Yeah, there is certainly a benefit, and all of the ductwork here is being delivered through the floor truss system here, so it's actually really convenient. And I must say we've put a number of these in, like walk-in closets and all of those different spaces where we can serve maybe a master bedroom suite, and it's all being hung, and it's great for a retrofit type situation.
Right. And this is more what homeowners are used to. You got your diffusers either in the ceiling or the floor, and this is what the homeowners are used to seeing, not the ones on the wall. But that's changing throughout the industry. But this gives a lot of homeowners comfort because they're used to this type of format. And it's a great product. It has auto static sensing, depending on what static and air movement you need in the space. The critical aspect, just like any other system, is to look at your CFMs you need in the room and adjust it accordingly, so you have even air flow and comfort throughout the space.
Now, do these come in different capacities, I'm assuming, right?
Yes, from 9,000 up to 5 tons.
Oh, wow.
Okay, the 3-ton, 4-ton, and 5-ton are 1-to-1 only.
Okay.
A 9 through 24, we can use those on multis. You could put 3 of them in a house, or 5 in a house, and zone particular ones. You can do, the big thing now is whole home applications.
Gotcha.
You know, there's utility rebates in some states.
Yes.
There's state rebates, Mass Save,
Yes.
right? These all meet this. And then you get the 25C tax credit, Inflation Reduction Act, right?
Yep.
This meets them.
Okay. And just so our viewers understand, we're free to mix a ducted system with 2 ductless heads.
Absolutely. You can put a ducted, a wall unit, a cassette, any combinations of, these are universal. No matter what piece of equipment you put on a mini split on our line, you can't put a wrong indoor unit on.
Gotcha. And go ahead.
I just think it's important if you're doing a whole home application, that you talked about zoning, right? I like the master bedroom on its own.
Yes. Agreed.
You know, and the rest of the bedrooms can be however they determine how to zone it.
And then lastly, I mean, whether if we're doing remodeling, these are obviously great solutions for that because of their size, their requirement, and the flexibility that I can plug in multiple pieces to these systems.
Right. Or additions,
Yeah.
where it's maybe your existing HVAC can't handle that extra load, or you can't run the ductwork to that particular space. It allows you to do that one-on-one or however many you need. So I think there's a wide variety of applications for these side discharge units.
Gotcha. All right. Well, any parting words? Thank you very much. I appreciate you
Thank you.
coming
Thank you for
out here,
having me.
taking the time, and you know, enlightening us on these systems. But any parting words?
Bosch is a great product.
There you go. There you go. Well, there you have it, folks. Everything we needed to know about ductless mini splits and ducted mini splits. Hey, good morning, Mark. Pleasure to have you out here at the Multi-Gen project. So, Mark Wald, national salesman for Fantech.
That's right. That's right.
So you get to travel the country too?
I do. Yeah, it's a pretty cool gig, I have to say.
Yeah, it is very cool. So I know y'all at Fantech, you know, a lot of people might think, oh, ERVs or a fan or this, but you guys are all about a wide spectrum.
We really are. You know, there's a lot that goes into achieving indoor air quality in a residential dwelling.
Right.
And we're not here to try to tell you we have all of them, but we do have solutions in each of the 3 core areas.
Okay.
When we're talking about trying to achieve that. So, you know, those, and these aren't Fantech's ideas, these are industry, you know, accepted methods. You've got source control, you've got continuous ventilation, exchange between indoor and outdoor air, and then you have air cleaning as well. So that's cleaning up what's floating around in the indoor air as well. So we have solutions for all 3. And the neat thing is, in this home, we have examples of all of them.
Gotcha. Now, let's start out with source control. Source control is bad air that I want to get rid of.
It includes that, but there's more than just that.
Okay.
So source control is a lot of things. There's a lot we can do with mechanical systems to help with that, but it also includes selecting the right materials. So as a builder, you're specifying materials and products and finishes that go into the home that aren't going to produce a lot of, you know, particulate that's going to be just flying around in the air, or VOCs and toxins that people are going to breathe over and over and over.
Right.
So that's part of it.
VOC being volatile organic compounds. Bad stuff.
But it also includes the builder being an advocate for the homeowner, so that once they move into the home, that they understand that there's things they can do as well to help achieve the best possible indoor air quality while they live in that home, from the activities that they engage in to the other things they bring into the home, materials, furniture, you name it, just all kinds of stuff, different textiles, you name it. All of that stuff has properties which could, be detrimental to the indoor air.
Right.
Now, that's part of it, but then what are some of the things we can do mechanically? And we have some examples of those here in this home.
Right. Now, source control, when I think of it, my mind immediately goes to, okay, in the kitchen, I'm going to cook, I'm going to have bad stuff. If I'm not cooking with electric, then I'm getting a byproduct of fossil fuels. If I'm in the bathroom, there is obviously the elevated humidity levels, as well as there's odor control to deal with there.
Exactly.
So, you immediately think of exhaust fans.
Absolutely. So, those type of things where we expect that there will be contaminants generated just from normal activities that are going to take place there with regularity. We have what we call capture and removal, right?
Gotcha.
So we're trying to capture those at the source as much as possible and remove them from the space where we can. So
It's kind of like water management. You want to give it a path and then you want to get rid of it.
that's right.
Right? So we're going to give it a path, except your path is a mechanically oriented.
Yeah, we're going to force it down that path.
We're going to suck it right out of this house. That's what we're going to do. So I think we have an example there right behind you of one of them.
We
right?
sure do. We sure do. So although this home is in an unfinished stage, obviously, right here, this will be the kitchen range right here. And so what we have set up here is, we want to be able to capture, all the bad stuff that'll occur while we're cooking, right? It may be delicious and wonderful smelling, but even cooking, whether it's gas or non-gas cooking, it still pollutes the air. It's one of the biggest polluters of indoor air in a residential dwelling that there is. So we want to capture as much of that as possible: heat, humidity, odors. But there's also a lot of VOCs, and you can get other stuff too from the different oils and stuff that go into what's cooking. So you want to capture that. We want people to use their range hood exhaust systems. The main reason people don't use them is because they're noisy. Right? It's like, boy, you can turn that on and it probably has a blower there inside of it.
Sounds like the airplane we're having to get ready to take off.
And if there's ever a gathering of people or anything going on, you're trying to watch TV while you're cooking, you don't want that running. So the Fantech solution is where we take one of our inline fans and locate it remotely. So it will not be right here. Our Fantech fan is located somewhere way down the duct or even on the exterior of the home. You have different options there. And then what you have is a hood liner. There's no blower. This hood liner will be located right here above the range.
So it's a big box with a filter in it.
It's a big box.
Not to dumb it down, but
that is exactly what it is. And so, you've got the controls here to control lights, and you're controlling the speed of the fan from here as well. And that's it. This will go in here. This is just a liner. Some kind of surround will be, built around it. It might match the cabinetry, or it might be some kind of a decorative metal, whatever you prefer.
So displacing it means I take the noise with it, and I put the noise somewhere where I don't care.
Absolutely.
And as far as the air doesn't care whether it's getting pushed or pulled.
Correct.
So we can remotely put it there and pull the air through the duct, and voila.
There's some other things. There's a duct silencer, as we call it. It's basically a sound attenuation device that goes in the duct, and that's located between where the fan is and between here where the range hood liner is. So any sound of the fan that might be traveling backwards down the duct to find its way here is even further attenuated by that silencer.
Oh, wow.
So it makes for, I don't want to tell you it's silent, but it is very quiet. About the only sound you generally hear is when you got this thing ramped all the way up, you might hear a little bit of sound of air rushing through the baffles here.
Yeah, the beauty of what we do and what we talk about, if you say something is perfectly silent, there's going to be somebody out there that's going to go out and buy one just to test it and prove us wrong. Look at it, it's 0.0001 decibels. It makes a sound.
Absolutely.
Right? So, yeah. But, great solution. I love the idea of remote fans. And we're not going to go into the bathroom, but in bathrooms we can do the same operation, right? You can have a remote fan, so you don't necessarily have to hear it.
You certainly can. Ceiling-mounted bath fans, where the motor itself, the impellerized motor, is located right behind the grill, are made today to be pretty quiet, actually. Right. But we actually do have a very similar solution to what we just described for this kitchen exhaust
right.
system, where we have a remotely mounted fan. And they are very, very quiet. They lend themselves to a few other things. There's also another way to do it, is where you can use an ERV. We'll talk about the ERV in a moment, but the ERV has to exhaust air from somewhere.
Right. Right.
That somewhere could absolutely be bathrooms.
We should choose to make it a bad place, not a good place.
Then replaces the need for one in a bathroom.
Gotcha.
But it also is doing that ventilation in a balanced manner, which is also a plus and a bonus.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So that can be done. Another type of source, so we've got kitchen exhaust, we've got bathroom exhaust. Those are types of source control ventilation.
Yep.
We also have radon.
Yes.
So that's another form of source control, where you have a radon mitigation system. Now, the system here, because this is new construction, the home was built so that that system was all contained inside the building, inside the envelope. So from beneath the slab at the lowest level, you've got a pipe that runs up within the walls.
Yes.
Up through the attic, and where it goes through the attic, there's a place there where there's a radon fan in place.
Yep.
Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be activated until the time comes when the home is finished. A radon test is performed. Right. Then, depending on that level, if that's not acceptable to the homeowner, then the homeowner can choose to turn that fan on and activate the system and do a better job of keeping that radon out from the soil that's underneath and around that slab and foundation, and remove it before it has a chance to come into the home.
Yeah, no, that's a great system. So moving on, I think one of your second points was cleaning the air, filtration.
That is also
right?
one, yes.
We have a pretty fine example that the general contractor came up with here that I know it impressed you when he opened it up and folded it down. I'm gonna just lift this up right quick so you can see. It's basically a drywall panel there that folds down and now gives us full access to your system.
Yeah, they did a really good job at this. I've never seen one quite this nice, but that's what I would want in my home for sure.
Yeah.
So what we have here, this is a fan-powered HEPA filter system. So it's not just a filter that sits in a duct and requires something else to move the air through it. It has its own fan.
Gotcha.
And it's a 2-speed fan, so it can operate on about 300 CFM on high or about 200 CFM on low. So you got those two options. And because it's fan powered, what you can do with this thing, here we can pull this open. So the fan's in the middle. It draws air in from the top down through a pre-filter. The pre-filter also has a carbon element to it, so it can remove some odors from the air. That'll catch most of the dust that's present in the air. Down through the fan, here's your 2-speed switch, and then finally down through this HEPA filter. So a HEPA filter, obviously, people are familiar with what those are. They have an amazing arrestance efficiency for even very, very fine particles. And so the nice thing about this is it can be, with the fan, it can be incorporated either into a central ducted system if the home has one.
Right.
And then it serves all the spaces that are served.
Which I believe that's what we're doing here.
This does. So it serves then all the spaces to which that central ducting is connected.
Yes.
So now you're getting HEPA filtration levels in all those spaces. Now, if your home either doesn't have a central duct system, or if or you just choose not to do it that way, it can be a standalone. So now you've got a, say, 300 CFM fan here to work with. You can run some duct work to and from the spaces that you're most concerned with. Maybe those are bedrooms, the main living areas.
Child with allergies or something, their bedroom that maybe you want to, kick it up a notch.
And so you mentioned allergies, and that's one of the main reasons someone may want to bump up, most heating and cooling systems are going to have some level of filtration. They have to.
Yep.
But you might want more.
Right.
And allergies, if you've got family members that have allergies or asthma, or maybe you live in a wildfire smoke prone part of the country, right? We're not here, but there's a big chunk of the country that is. Well, the HEPA filter has the ability to remove the particles that are triggers to asthmatic reactions, nasal allergies, everything from pollen, pet dander, you name it, all that stuff, as well as the particulate that's associated with wildfire smoke. I mean, it gets it's that good. So these are nice systems, and they're we talk about a lot of the stuff that goes in. There's a lot of products out there on the market.
Right.
So many of them are, boy, there's a lot you can do, but you really got to pay a lot to get them. Well, this isn't one of them.
Right.
This is not
This potentially gives you a whole house filtration on a really good budget.
Yeah, amazing filtration on a very affordable.
Yeah. And the thing is it appears to be somewhat modular. So if the fan kicks it, we can just unscrew it, disconnect it, replace it real easy.
You could. You could. It would be uncommon for one of these to go bad.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, it's like I always think about, when I look at mechanical products, everything has a lifespan to it. What happens if I have to swap it out or if it has a problem? But having it modular in this cabinet makes it real easy to
absolutely
make that swap out. Not that we will ever have to do that.
Right.
But it also has a really, nice location for the filters. Many times, way too often, we have an HVAC system, it's in the attic. The filters are up there next to it. And the question is, how often do you think those filters are getting changed? Right? Because it takes some pretty good dedication and motivation to climb up into the attic, go across the attic, bring filters with you, and swap them out. Here, you can pop this open the door, swap them out, close it all up, and be done.
Yeah.
And you never left the kitchen.
Absolutely.
What do you say we talk about ERVs?
Let's do it.
So this one we fit nice and neat in the closet here. So.
Yeah. So I think your viewership is familiar with how ERVs work, and so I don't think we need to go really into those details. We can talk about some of the things here. There are when it comes to doing continuous ventilation, right? So that's really that third component. We talked about the source control. We talked about the air cleaning, and here's continuous ventilation. So continuous ventilation in most parts of the United States, code does not require that you do a balanced recovery method, which this is. You can simply, run a bath fan all the time. Just let it run all the time. And that is technically ventilation. It's not ideal from a design standpoint, from an efficiency or energy standpoint either. So there's a lot of reasons why someone might want to do something a little better. While you get the better in the fact that, as you ventilate, this is going to recover well over half of the difference between the outdoor condition and the indoor condition, whereas the bath fan running all the time wouldn't recover any of it.
It doesn't recover any of it. And, I just recently had a slight argument on social media. What a surprise. But someone talking about, I mentioned something about ventilation, and they immediately went to, oh, you're just trying to rip off people and get them to spend money on stuff that they don't need. And, my retort was very simple. You could pay for ventilation or you can pay for ventilation. And what I mean by that is because you're not buying this device doesn't mean you're not paying for ventilation, right? The difference is I purchased this device, it gets installed. Things get filtered, things get tempered, things get distributed. So basically I'm buying control here.
You are.
If I don't put this system in, the air handler comes on or my bath fans come on, obviously your house doesn't implode. So it means that the air that went out is now coming in. And it comes in areas that are uncontrolled, unfiltered, and basically air that you might not want. Right. And you're pulling that air through cavities in the wall. So depending on where you are, if you're in a hot, humid environment, Now you're pulling hot, humid air in through your system. If you're in northern Minnesota, you're pulling 10-degree air in when you're paying to do 70-degree air. So, this whole idea of, well, that's extra money and it costs. There's a cost regardless. If you choose to do this, there's a cost. If you choose not to do this, there's a cost.
Oh, that's absolutely correct. And so not only does this save on the process of ventilation, the energy consumed and the money associated with that, but you're actually controlling, exactly now where your ventilation is being delivered to the home. And like you said, you can manage, so you're managing it, you're filtering it, you're preconditioning and all the good stuff. So when it comes to ERVs or HRVs, either one, they are more expensive than a standard, say, bath fan that you could run all the time. However, as we mentioned, in this home at least, they chose to use the exhaust that this ERV produces from the bathrooms. So the bathrooms don't actually have bath fans per se. The bath fan is actually right in here. And so all the bathrooms get exhausted. There are controls in the bathroom. They're override timer switches. So when one of those controls is pressed, you're choosing 20, 40, or 60 minutes of high-speed operation. So this thing bumps to high speed. You get more exhaust ventilation from the bathroom. You're also getting more fresh air, outdoor air supplied in at the same time. And then once that time elapses, it goes back to its normal speed. So, yes, they are more expensive a little bit, but again, I think they can be done on a budget. The Fantech range of ERVs and HRVs falls within 70 to 80-ish% efficiency, which is really good. You can get a lot better than that out in the market. You can pay a lot more for it, right? You can pay as much as you want to, but I think people would be surprised that you can do this for really not a lot of money.
And I'm going to challenge some of your talk there, because adding money, I tell clients, this isn't a cost, this is an investment in the quality of air that you're breathing, right? Bottom line, you can argue that all day long. I'll argue it. I have dozens of clients that say they sleep better, they dream, they recover better. I have some, that have a mountain cabin and they go there just to do like winter exercise. And she loves that house because it has an ERV. Their other house down in Virginia doesn't. She hates going there. She doesn't sleep as good. She doesn't recover as quick. She doesn't dream. So there's certainly an argument that it is better. So when you talk about cost, one of the things I want to point out is we're living in a time where we understand houses and living more than we've ever known, right? We have a lot of data. I'm sure Fantech has a lot of data about when you install this system, how it changes the dynamics of the house and the metrics of the house, the air that people breathe. And we could probably sit here and talk for hours and hours and hours on that. So when people say, well, I don't want to put that in, that's an added cost. No, this is a solution to a problem that we have now identified, right? 50, 60, 80 years ago, we didn't put insulation in walls, right? So when we put insulation in walls, I'm sure there was somebody going around saying, oh, what the hell do you want to do that for? We've never put insulation in. What a dumb idea that is, putting insulation in the walls. No, it is the result of understanding. And to me, the idea of an ERV and air quality is the result of a number of people pushing and saying, we really got to get a handle on this air quality thing and work with companies like Fantech to develop solutions to give us superior air quality. And I'm sure everybody at Fantech, you have engineers that this system's going to look totally different in 10 years.
I'm sure it will. They don't necessarily share all that fun stuff with me, but yeah, they're always working on new stuff. And it is one of those things where this technology has existed for a while. This isn't new at all. Everybody that is involved in this industry where we as a manufacturer would benefit from more people installing fresh air appliances like our Atmo unit here, ERV, You know, we do know that as codes are changing, and they are starting to do so, to require this kind of thing, much of it's coming from the industry, you know, pushing from an energy perspective, tighter homes. Let's have a tighter envelope, and that's great, right? Because that leads to better energy efficiency. It also allows us to better manage our ventilation, right? When you don't have a tight home, your ventilation, some of it just sort of happens because it just occurs, but you're not managing it. And where it comes in at the outdoor condition and carries everything that's in that air with it. But when you're managing it, you know exactly how much air you're getting, and you can do stuff to that air before it's delivered to the occupied spaces, making it more comfortable and filtering it, for instance. So that's generally what these things do. We can open this up and just take a peek. You know, the Atmo unit, you know, very similar in concept and appearance to a lot of the different products that are available on the market. You know, you've got a core here that does all the recovery, and you've got a couple of little filters here. They're going to catch some dust. This core here, both our HRV and our ERV cores are water washable, so you don't need any chemicals or whatever. And the great thing about them is, if they're going to get some dust in these small passages here, you simply submerge it in water, gently rinse some water through it. The dust is rinsed off. It's good as new. The efficiency is as good as it was when it was brand new, and you put it back, and that's that. It's that simple. So it's easy to maintain. It's not huge. It's a good compact size, and you get all the benefits we've already discussed.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've covered it extremely well. Now, I know when we were walking around, you were saying you have some pretty neat controls for these systems.
We do.
So why don't we head on over and we can
Sure.
catch up on those controls when we talk a little bit about those.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right, Mark. So controls. Who doesn't like talking about controls, right? Everybody can talk about metal cabinets in the wall, but the homeowner, they care about control.
They do. So when we're talking about a Fantech fresh air appliance, whether it be one of our ERVs or HRVs, one of our really coolest controls is this EcoTouch IAQ. And what I love about this thing is that, you know, you can set up your unit to do what you want it to do most of the time, but it's got a little bit of smarts in it. And when I say that, it's sensing total VOCs in the home. So what it does is it establishes a baseline. It learns what's, say, normal in this home. And hopefully normal is good.
Good, yes.
So you might have your ERV set up, you know, and what we always recommend when someone sizes an ERV for their home, to size that unit to deliver the airflow, the CFM that you want continuously, and it can do so while running on, say, low speed. There's a couple reasons for that. One, on low speed, it's at its most efficient, right? Because you've got a slower speed of airflow traveling through the heat exchangers, so you get way better recovery. Secondly, it gives you the ability to bump up that CFM if you might need it.
Right.
So the building codes, as we know, they're the bare minimum threshold for acceptability, right? And so for ventilation standpoints, continuous ventilation, there's a formula. You just say the square footage and the number of bedrooms, you plug those into that formula, it spits out, well, this is how much CFM as a minimum you need continuously in the home. You could set up your ERV to deliver that CFM on that continuous basis, or a little more, whatever you felt comfortable with. And probably 23 hours out of the day, that's probably good enough to keep really decent indoor air quality in the home. But that other hour, you're cooking or you're cleaning, or you've got a gathering of people at your home, or you're doing a hobby, who knows?
Right.
And during that hour, VOCs get generated. This senses that spike in VOCs, and what it does is it bumps that ERV up to high speed temporarily to help get rid of those VOCs faster and bring in outside air with much healthier outside air in and replace it. And then once it satisfies that VOC event, it goes back to then its normal low speed operation.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's great that it can just, you put it on and it thinks for itself, pretty much.
Yeah, so I love it, and again, from an affordability standpoint, it's not an affordable control. It's not a high-priced control. It's a very affordable control that you can add to any of the Fantech ERVs or HRVs, and I love that feature. I love it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about air quality and the conversations I have with clients. I get some clients that, they like operable windows. And they say, no, Steve, you don't understand. We like to have our windows open, et cetera. And I say, no, I don't think you understand what living in a good house means. And then I return, a year or two later and say, how's it going? Oh, the house is fantastic, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, do you open the windows? Yeah, not really, because it's just such a great environment in here. So, kind of circling back to your 3 points, I think attacking from a design sense, the air quality in a house, using your 3 points, capturing and satisfying all of those really puts that house in a position to succeed.
It does. It gives the home the best opportunity to be successful, and it should be said that the homeowner has to have a desire for it to be as well, and they have to be a participant in that as well.
Yeah, and what I find, in the people that I talk to, most people that deny it or don't understand it or don't believe it, don't understand it. And that, if we were able to take a homeowner that was saying, I don't need air quality, I don't need an ERV, and we walk them through here and we talk about what we're doing, we'd probably end the conversation with more of, why wouldn't I do that? Right? Then why would I?
Sure.
So education is everything, in these systems and getting people to understand. Because I'm up against it all the time too, of why do I want to spend the money? Do we really need that, Steve? Because my wife wants this special faucet in our shower, and it's like, man, X amount of dollars I could put towards that shower valve. And so there's all these trade-offs that, to me, they're a little crazy, but to every homeowner, they mean something. But getting people to understand that, air quality is an extremely big part of what we're doing in these houses.
I agree.
So thank you for your time, sir, for coming out. Thank you to Fantech for joining us on this build, and, your wealth of knowledge. Thanks for joining.
You're welcome. Thank you too.
All right. Can't find Brett.
Hey.
Oh, there you are. What's up, buddy?
What's going on?
Just had a great chat with Mark about ERVs. They really, Fantech got a really good handle on thinking beyond just ERVs, filtration, source, the exhausting source problems, and of course the Bosch guys, fabulous guys to talk to. You got some beautiful equipment in there.
I do. I'm very lucky.
It's amazing how quiet that stuff operates on, and the efficiency level that it's operating on just makes for, I don't know, it's incredible. I was standing next to the outdoor units 2 feet away.
I know.
And they're whispering quiet. So we talked a lot about mechanicals today, but I know, my little kind of pre-tour, we got a lot of the plumbing fixtures up there. We got a nice little device upstairs in the corner there that we can certainly talk about. And but why don't we head on upstairs and we could talk about, some of the bathrooms, some of the selections there, and finish plumbing as a prelude to our final walkthrough. So
let's do it.
I'll follow you, sir.
All right.
So, we like to go around, and I got to admit, everybody likes to show off all the glitzy stuff. But the reality is, we're talking about multi-gen on a budget. And a lot of people, what kind of budget are you talking? Well, we're in Metro Boston, so things are not cheap here to begin with. You're building a house, you're in a X amount of dollar bracket there. But, I think this bathroom's a really good example of, where you've made some selections based on value, you've made some selections based on experience, and some selections based on, how much do they cost, or the financial value,
Absolutely.
right? So when we look at it, it's a single bathroom, like it's not cut up where the toilet and shower are in one and there's another double vanity here. This is for the 2 kids' bedrooms. It's a very modest 3-foot vanity, toilet, and tub. And so when we're talking about selections there, this is a cast iron tub, tried and true.
Under $300.
Under $300. It looks good. In 20 years, it's still going to look good.
Exactly.
Right? It's going to take a beating. I actually have a little anecdote to cast iron tubs.
Let's hear it.
The beauty of a cast iron tub for my 160-pound frame, when I step into an acrylic tub, I can actually hear it cracking.
Yep.
Right? So the beauty of the cast iron tub is that, you know, as good as it is, as inexpensive as it is in terms of what you could spend. I mean, I've done projects where $9,000-$10,000 bathtub.
Of course.
That was no bigger than this.
Yep.
But it just had whatever features, and it was so comfortable to sit in. You don't understand, Steve. Yeah, I kind of understand. But the reality is I can stand in there. There's no creaking, and it's going to look really good. Modest vanity, toilet, low flow, Toto.
Yep.
Not
No,
too crazy.
everybody's familiar with this setup of a bathroom.
Yeah.
You know, it's exactly
across
what we
America for the last 100 years.
need. 100%.
Right. But when we talk about the value, you and Sarah said, hey, let's do something nice with the tile.
We did. Yep. So I mean, simple plumbing fixtures, but not to get away from tile, but I mean, like, we have a baby, we want to be able to give him a bath, and we have a detachable head. But tile, yeah, so you mentioned the tub. It's inexpensive, and we decided to invest in our tile. So it dresses up this small bathroom. There's not a lot of square footage,
Right.
but, you know, with a little bit of forethought, with the nice niche that goes across, like, you know, it doesn't...
And like we talked about, you know, this tile might be 2 or 3x another choice of tile, but you're only talking about 70 square feet of tile. So it's not like you're talking about 3,000 square feet of flooring here and adding $10 a square foot, right? It's 70 square feet and you're adding a couple bucks to it. So if you're going to kind of find a place to find that value, and not for nothing, when you come up the stairs and you walk into this room, what's the first thing you see? You focus on the back wall. You walk right by the vanity. We could put a $10,000 vanity in there and no one would ever really see it.
Right.
Right? And Brett didn't want me to mention it, but I can show you what kind of guy Brett is. If you notice here, notice the tile comes up. It is a full tile that returns into 2 full tiles that comes out and then goes up the ceiling. So it might look like, hey, yeah, okay, what are you trying to say, Steve? That looks good. But the coordination effort of making sure all of that is that shelf at the right height with the tile, the height of the tub, and getting this orchestrated so everything falls in. When you have that grout line that goes all the way around, that's not luck, people. That is somebody taking the time, and a lot of time, to make sure that comes out great. And I can see he sloped it a little so we get that down and out. And I can see also, you know, like we're going to see in your bathroom, he did a bunch of miter cuts here because that handmade tile is usually a little thicker.
It is.
So getting the miter cuts on there and having that return looks really good. So why don't we head down the hall?
Let's do it.
We can talk about your bathroom.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, you know what? Let's jump in here for a second because I think there's a great talking point here. So very modest laundry room upstairs, and we have our drain pan. Remember, we're on the 3rd floor of this house, which is 2nd floor upper level walkout basement. But when you're putting a washing machine up here, some of the #1 water leaks in a house are developed at the washing machine. They're not rain leaks through the roof, they're actually internal leaks from a hose or a device. So having a shower pan, and that's tied into the drain, we talked about that with the plumber when we walked through the rough. And it's great to see that come to life. And
What good is a beautiful laundry room if it leaks and I have to tear into my
And
kitchen and down below? It's a nightmare.
right. So your bathroom here, I'm gonna sneak in here. The thing I really like about this is it's zoned really nicely. And I'm not saying that because I was the one that zoned it, but it is.
Give yourself some credit, Steve.
I'll give myself a little credit. There's, you have the toilet there. It's not in its own closet. We won't go there. We have a nice walk-in shower. We have a nice double vanity here that when you come up to, you don't impede any of the other devices.
Right.
Right, and that's one of the nice things about it is that, all of those two, shower, toilet, and tub behind us, I would call those destinations, and this is kind of in the circulation path.
Yep.
So that you can come in here. We have some nice light in the transom windows, and then of course we have the nice garden tub here. I'll sneak down into the corner here so Kyle can come in here and see. We have a nice big window that is set up. So, there's going to be nights where you come in here, you fill that bathtub, or Sarah, and you can sit out there. You can put your glass of wine on the shelf, and you have your own little part of heaven here.
Life is good.
But I'm dying to get over into that alcove.
Oh, man.
Because it's like. You come up into the bathroom here, and there's, a modest garden tub. We're talking vanities. And then you see the seat. And so you understand exactly where Brett's value is, right? This is like climbing in the cockpit, right? So this has got, I'm not even going to read the controls, but rest assured, it pretty much does everything you need.
We'll leave that to the imagination.
Yeah, we'll leave it to the imagination, but it's heated, washlet, But again, it's one of those things where it's a relatively modest bathroom. We're not over the top here. And, the funny thing about this is we had that conversation earlier today where you don't realize, how much you appreciate a luxury until you have that luxury.
Yep.
Right? We talked about, I use the analogy of my heated steering wheel in my truck.
Yep.
Like the truck I have now is the first heated steering wheel I've ever had. And I don't think I could go without one now, because you get in the truck in February, you hit that button, and in 30 seconds, it's like, man, this is nice. I don't have to wear these big bulky gloves or anything. And I had a client, the first time I was ever experienced one, we put it in, and the whole time we put it in, every time I went and job site visit, I was like, I can't believe we're doing this kind of stuff. And then she threw a party, and I got the opportunity to experience it, and I was like, why doesn't everybody have one of these in their
And you
house?
came out and you said, everybody shut up, I have something to say. I have something
I
to
got
say.
something to say.
I was wrong. This is amazing.
This is amazing. I was wrong. Everybody in America should have one of these.
Oh,
but anyways, like you said, I think you put it best. We'll leave it to your imagination. But anyways, we got some great stuff today, right? We got the Bosch guys out here. We talked all about heating and cooling devices, whether you're remodeling or new construction. We had Mark, who Mark loves to talk about Fantech. That guy was pretty excited about everything that he talked about there. So that's always
That's good. That's what we like, passionate people.
That's what we like. We want to work with passionate people. Hell, I'm passionate. I mean, I'm sitting here talking for
Steve loves
3 minutes about
he
the
loves
toilet.
bidet toilets.
So, there you have it. But anyways, thank you again. Mechanical Finishes. I think the next one, we're going to return here in a couple weeks, and we're going to be talking about some of the cabinetry and some of the casework and all of that. We're going to have your trim guys out here. We're going to catch up with Dean, the one-man show at Platinum Woodworking. Putting all this stuff together, and we might learn a thing or two from Dean. So looking forward to it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Steve.
I appreciate it. And well, there you have it, folks. Mechanical Finishes. Some of this, all of this stuff will get all cleaned up when we do our final walkthrough. We'll be able to come through and see everything nice and tidy, but it's always good to start getting glimpses of where are we going with this stuff? How does it get installed? The heated floors, all that good stuff. So very, very exciting times. So anyways, thank you for joining us on a multi-gen here. If you haven't seen any of the previous episodes, make sure you go check those out. We literally started this video series with the excavation of the foundation here, and we're going to take you all the way through right up to the day of occupancy. We're not going to be here to watch them move in.
No, you said you were going to help.
Yeah, I might move in. Believe it or not, before I went to college, I worked as a mover.
I do believe that.
I don't want to beat up on movers because they were some of the nicest guys I've ever worked with, but you want to talk about one of the worst jobs out there. Imagine pulling up to a 5,000 square foot house and saying, you know what, for the next 16 hours, I get to empty that house by hand.
Yep.
You know, and that's every day.
Right, that's why you said you were going to be here.
Yeah, I'll be
in a
here.
month to
We'll
help
hump
me
that
out.
furniture up the stairs here and get it
Yeah.
up. It's always, it's always a treat. Anyways, thank you for joining us. Stay tuned because the next episode, there's only 2 left. The next episode, we're talking casework, millwork, and then we are on to that final walkthrough. So thanks for joining us. I'm Steve Baczek, Architect. This is The Build Show. All right, we're catching up with Mohammed. But one of the things that I want to make clear is that, you know, even though Bosch has been in the game for well over 100 years in the heating and cooling game, in my short conversations today, it's very evident that Bosch finds themselves right on the leading edge of innovation and electrification in the industry. And I'm very proud to have you guys as a sponsor, but more as a teammate here as we deliver premium products to our clients to have teammates like the Bosch Group here to be partnered with.
Yeah, thank you for hosting us. So just want to remind everyone with the IDS, we believe that electrification is the forefront and this product is going to be a great accelerator. So be part of a change and we want to continue to decarbonize.
Right. And for you contractors out there, Bosch has the Home Comfort Pro system that you should be part of. So I would say go out there, check it out, connect with Bosch. They have training centers available. You can bring clients to look at their equipment up here in the Northeast. So check it out. And when you're looking for heating and cooling equipment, you should put Bosch on your list.